Alright, so what we're going to look at first is what's new in FumeFX 2. Now, FumeFX 2 has a lot of new features. Keep in mind that FumeFX 2.0 had a lot of new features, but FumeFX 2.1 has a lot more. Currently, we're at FumeFX 2.1b, and that's the latest version out at the moment. And there's a lot of new features that came out when 2.1 arrived on the scene. So it's kind of like, I guess, a few things were still work in progress, and now they've kind of creeped into the latest update. So make sure you do have the latest version. I think it's pretty important to do. Now let's just look at a few of the interface changes first of all. So I'm just going to go and create a FumeFX in here. Alright, so I'm just going to go to the Modify panel, and one thing to keep in mind is that in one of the later chapters, which is really the core of this DVD, we're going to go through every single feature. And that's something that no one has really done so far, including myself, is really go through every single feature of Fume, and there's so many. So that's what I did with this DVD, and it took forever to record it, just because there is so much jam-packed in here. But I've tried to explain every feature really thoroughly, so that way, even some of the more technical ones that you won't use too often, you'll be very familiar with what they do, so that way you can have them kind of in your back pocket to use when the time kind of calls for it. So first of all, there isn't too much of a change with most of this. It's relatively the same. The one thing you will notice is simulation loop, and when you turn that on, it says, do you wish to save caches? So you can turn that off too, but it just means that if I were to run my sim, when it gets to the very end of my simulation, it's going to loop back around. And the reason that that's useful is because I'm going to show you right now. So I'm just going to jump ahead and create an emitter. And like I said, I'm going to go through and cover everything really in depth, so I might give an overview now of some of the features, but later we're going to go through like really crazy in depth. So I'm going to set my output path. And I'll just call this anything. Alright, so let's just run a sim, and just to make this a bit more interesting, I'm just going to punch in some magic numbers. Anything will do, just something to make this just look a bit more interesting rather than looking at like a really basic flame. Okay, so I'll do that. I'm also going to exclude my smoke, just so that way the sim's quicker. Alright, so I'm going to run the sim. We get some fire burning away. And what's a really cool new feature of Fume is the fact that while this is simulating, I can actually adjust my values. So suddenly I could add a lot more turbulence to the sim. Go and turn these previews off because I want the viewport to update quicker. I could go and adjust my scale to be really big, and that's going to affect it. So this means that as I adjust my sim, we're going to see it slowly updating the view. So obviously it's not going to reshape it on the spot. What it'll rather do is begin to affect it for the continuing frames. So I can then set my scale to 1, and we'll watch as it adjusts down to a turbulence of 1. And so this is great because I can literally carve out my simulation. Usually you don't want to be here animating your stuff in real time, but it means that I can kind of get a better idea as to what I want. And if I see something drastic and need to change, I can go in here and say, okay, now explode. And here we go, bam, it's going to explode. Suddenly I might say, okay, that's too much, I'll bring it back. I might decide that I want to go into slow motion along the way. Whatever I feel like doing. Maybe I need to see the shader a bit better. So let's bring the opacity down. Let's reset the gradient. Essentially now I can work on carving out my fluids in real time. So this is really cool. Actually, one of the only things I find a little bit difficult to do is insert these tags while I'm simming. But this is awesome. So it just means that in real time I can do this. And the other thing is that I can even adjust my resolution so I can get like a real-time simulation going. But the other cool thing is that we have a simulation loop on. It means when it gets to 100, it loops back around, so I can infinitely just sit here adjusting things and kind of getting a better visual idea of like what this is all doing. So that way I can kind of play and go, okay, well now I think I understand what this value does, because when I adjust it, here's what I see it doing. So this is just another level of getting interaction back into how we work. And if we don't want to save the cache, I don't have to. So this way it might be a little bit quicker because it doesn't have to write to disk. And you know, this is just overall just gives you more interaction. Other than that, you know, I could add more quality, turn off draft, to get a bit more the level I want, and I can zoom in around it. So this is really cool. And of course, if I want, I could jump down to a much lower simulation, so that way I get a lot more detail, or bump it up. So that's another thing, so simulation loop and also the interaction. Other than that, we also have enable display. So this is cool because I can display my fire and it'll display in the viewport. But now what I can do is I can click this little tick here, and when I do that, I can deselect my container and this physically stays there. So this is awesome because it means that I can essentially have stuff like this physically there in my shot, and I can actually see it. Now for some reason my dots are displaying small when they shouldn't be. Usually these are big clunky dots, but that's fine with me. I'm not too worried about it. But at least now I have a physical representation in the viewport and I can deselect it. So this is great for animators because they can like see an explosion that you've simulated and animate their character reacting to it or whatever. Other than that, we also have one up here, which is pin dialog. And so what this does is, with it on, it means I can deselect my grid finally and continue working, and my interface is still here. I've had mixed results with this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully in the future versions it'll be a bit more resolved, but for instance right now it's working, but like I said, I could deselect it and then it seems to have no effect. So it's kind of like a little bit wishy-washy, but definitely cool to be able to go and be able to do what I want to do and not have this close, especially when it's a little slow to reopen it. So that's good. Other cool things is in preferences I've got auto synchronized paths, so that way wherever I output my stuff here, like my actual sim, it will automatically update the post process and wavelet to go that directory too. So that's kind of cool, just going to keep it all tracked rather than accidentally going the wrong shot because it was previously set up there or whatever. So that's really cool, additional new feature. And if I'm going to make a preview, we now have change output path, and also if I make preview I can choose my pathway to save, which I think was there before, right? Actually no, it wasn't, I'm pretty sure. And we can also choose the codec. So that's just cool because now I can have like an official PlayBlast directory, and it's not so hidden away as like where the stuff is all written to. And we also have a FusionWorks render elements velocity pass, so I can output Z depth or any of those now, so velocities were in there too. So that's cool to keep in mind as well. Other than that, there's lots of bug fixes as well as speed increases. Like a lot of this stuff's been optimized to simulate quicker, and just to avoid, like, there's a few crashes and instability issues with 2.0, so 2.1 has fixed a few of those so they don't crash when you're like doing let's say post-processing, if you cancel it, stuff like that, which is a bit annoying. The only thing I'm not really a huge fan of is that the viewport display is still pretty slow to work with. It's actually not too bad here. for once, but you know, in general, it's still relatively slow. But all the features are awesome. Like there's just a lot of core things, like the wavelet and the post-processing are the two biggest. This means that we can get a lot more detail from our sims, and we can also then optimize them down. And one of the last ones I'll mention is under particle source. Let's go to the modify panel so we can see this better. Now we have the viewport display, so it's going to hide everything and make a particle system real quick. Standard flow. Alright, here we go. So what I can do is add this particle system, and we can see that there's little circles representing the sphere radius, which is kind of cool. This is in 2.0. It just means that I can now see how big my particles are going to be, which is especially good when you're seeing scales change a lot or whatever, and I can reduce that down if I want, or you know. Other than that, I can change, you know, how they're displayed and everything else. Lastly, if there's a particle age, like if I add a delete operator, I can set these to scale over time. So I could set them to the shrink or grow bigger. And so that kind of thing can be cool, just kind of give it more of an inherited motion. So yeah, that's just another little icing on the cake. Alright, so going back into this, that is pretty much it for the stuff in here, but we'll jump over to helpers for a minute, and we have a couple of things here. So one really cool thing now is that we have a void source. Now before, if we wanted to remove, like physically delete voxel data, we would have to like create additional emitters and have negative values and remove it that way. What this does is if I put it in here, I can have like any fluids that come in contact with it automatically die out. So this is cool because it means I can kill off fluids that I don't want in my simulation. And we'll get into that later on, but it's definitely a cool feature. Fume effect source is really good because it means I can have like a different grid, and it can actually create, like, feed fluids off of the other container. So if I had one container here, I could have another container above it, and as the fire, or let's say the smoke, raises up, it can go into the new container and continue to sim. So this is another really cool thing that we'll get into. Lastly, out of like the random stuff, I could have an object, and I can assign a fume effects burn shader. And what fume effects does is it means that I can essentially, like with this modifier, I can actually have like fire or smoke or temperatures hit this object and affect the vertex paint channel, or more the vertex shader channel, I should say. So this is really cool because it means that I could have fire literally burn areas, or if I wanted to have like a fire extinguisher spray and leave like frosting or something foam as a displacement or blend map. You know, there's a lot I can do with it, so that's another really cool addition to it. Most of the real features, however, come from within the Fume Effects interface. So going in here, one last thing I'll actually mention is that the Fume Effects object source, now you can select multiple objects rather than one at a time, which was really annoying before. So that's another really cool thing. But most of the stuff in here tends to be pretty straightforward. The main thing you're going to notice is that you now have a sim mode, and you have a wavelet turbulence and post-processing tab. So this is cool, and we're going to get into it.